Hi everyone, hope you're well. So for today's practice, I thought it might be interesting to explore the front of the body a little bit more. In particular, this region between the navel centre and just below the sternum. So for a lot of us during the day, as gravity takes its toll and the spine begins to round a little, this area can become quite shortened, and as a result of that, the diaphragm, which is also housed in this area, can get a bit compressed and stuck, and the upper back also suffers as a result of that. So the practice I've got planned for today is to help us really lengthen in that area, which will have an effect on the diaphragm, helping to release the diaphragm and the breath, and also will have an effect on the upper back while we're there. So in terms of equipment, we're not going to need a great deal, mostly a chair. We're going to use a chair quite a bit today, and you might want a blanket for relaxation at the end, but that's about it really. So we're going to start, and we're going to start from standing for our practice today. So letting the feet find the floor, letting the knees be soft and receptive. And I'm going to throw out a suggestion today, and this might resonate for some of you, it won't, and that's absolutely fine. But if you're experiencing any lower back discomfort, what can be a useful thing for some, not for everyone, is to bring the heels slightly wider. So turning the heels out a little. Not so much that it begins to hurt the knees in any way. So it needs to be a huge amount, and the knees still stay soft. But it can have quite a nice broadening effect on the lower back. So you can have a play with that. If it's not for you, that's absolutely fine, bringing the feet back to more of a parallel position. But you can try it and see. So letting the arms and the hands rest at the sides of the body. I'm going to invite you to soften and close the eyes here as well. And noticing how, starting our practice from standing, noticing how the body reacts to that. So depending on what point of our day we're in, that's going to have a different quality for us. So noticing that. And you might get a sense of the body beginning to sway a little, looking for centre, particularly if you're working with the eyes closed. So not standing in the way of that, letting the body find its place. And then there might come a point where it finds that sweet spot and thinks, oh, that's nice. I'm going to stay here for a little bit. So allowing that to happen. And also noticing what happens to the breath as a result of that. And you might even want to bring your hand to this section I was talking about, so kind of feeling where the sternum ends and sort of the navel centre, and kind of maybe tracing the finger around that area. So we're going to do a bit of work with Ganesha Mudra again. We did this a couple of videos ago, but I'll talk us through it again. If you want to stay with the eyes closed, you can, or if you prefer to open them to maybe see a bit more of what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to do that. So starting with the left hand, we're going to bring the left hand with the palm facing up around the level of the heart. And then the right hand we're going to place on top, and then we're going to take a hold of the fingers. Pausing for a few moments, allowing the breath to settle again. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, we're going to draw the elbows away from each other as if we want to separate the hands, but we're going to keep hold of that grip. And then releasing as we inhale. And repeating that around 6 times in total at your own pace. So drawing the elbows away from each other as you exhale, releasing as you inhale. So once you've completed your 6, take all the time you need to do that. And once you have, you're going to place the hands to rest on the heart centre for a few moments. And then come into the opposite side. So now the right hand is going to be the lower hand, the left hand comes on top, taking a hold. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, drawing the elbows away from each other. Inhaling, releasing. Again, around 6 times. And if you're working with the heels still slightly turned out, yeah, you can bring them to more of a parallel position if you prefer, or you can keep them turned out if that's feeling comfortable in the back. And again, once you've completed your 6 on this second side, placing the hands to rest around the level of the heart. And then letting the arms and the hands come to rest back down at the sides of the body. If you've still got your eyes closed, let's open them at this stage. And if you are working with the heels slightly turned out, yeah, let's bring them to more of a parallel position now. So we're going to gently warm up the spine a little by doing some spinal rolls. So starting with the neck, no, sorry, not the neck, the chin, starting with the chin. Rolling the chin in towards the chest. And then bending the knees really generously here. We're going to roll down through the centre. And then rolling up, stacking the spine as we come back up to standing. A slight turn to one side. And then again, allowing the chin to roll in towards the chest. Bending the knees generously. Rolling down through the spine. And then stacking the spine back up to come back up to standing. Opposite side, so a slight turn to the opposite side. Rolling down. And then coming back up. Nice and slowly. We'll do one more round of that, yeah? So down through the centre, side, side, at your own pace. And you might even want to let some exhalations out through the mouth, another nice way to release the diaphragm. You might want to let the arms have a bit of a shake. Oh. Let some sounds out. And then coming to rest standing once you've completed. So we're going to use the chair for quite a few of these next poses now. So the first thing we're going to do is downward dog with the chair, which we've done a few videos now, so we should be quite familiar with this. But it is a really nice way to bring length into the front of the body and also to help sort of release the upper back as well. So I'm going to place my hands onto the highest part of my chair. I'm going to step my feet back and being mindful that I'm not locking back into the knees, so the knees stay soft. I'm going to pause for a few breaths here. And you might even want to have a feel of that area that I mentioned between the navel and just below the sternum. Feel it here in this sort of position, using the chair to help us here. And you can really get a sense of how much length this helps to bring into the front of the body. And also being mindful that we're not collapsing, so we've still got that little bit of containment around the lower belly, so that we're kind of not collapsing into a hammock shape and going too far in bringing sort of length into the front of the body. So a few breaths here. And then let's walk the feet back towards the chair, coming up slowly from there. So we're going to come to triangle pose. So let's step wide on our mat. And I've got the chair on my left-hand side here, but it might be the opposite way around for you. So if that's the case, just reverse the instructions that I'm saying. So we're going to turn in the right toes, turn out the left toes, and then I'm going to turn my pelvis towards the chair. Now usually we bring a hand somewhere onto the shin, wouldn't we? And for a lot of us, and I'm definitely included in this is why working with the chair is fantastic to keep reminding me. When we bring the hand onto the leg, we can quite often come into this sort of banana shape in the spine and close off one side of the body, and sort of, if you feel that area again, you can kind of close off one side of that area. So working with the chair is really useful to help us keep that length. So I've turned my pelvis towards the chair, and I'm going to place my hand on the seat of the chair, and it really helps me to maintain that length in the front of the body, and the sides of the body are also nice and open. I'm not bananaing on one side. I'm going to take my spare hand underneath the ribs, brushing across the front of the chest, and then reaching that arm out in line with the chest. And you might want to experiment a little with the position of the hand to really get the full benefit of that length in the sides and the front of the body. And being mindful that we're not locking into that front knee, and that we're keeping that connection into the back leg. A few breaths here. Releasing the top arm, a little bit of weight into the front foot to bring us back to parallel the feet. So then we're going to come to do the opposite side. So you might just want to spin around, or if you want to keep facing the same way, you can flip your chair to the opposite end of your mat. Just making sure that your chair is positioned in a way that's not going to slip. So it might be you need to put it against a wall, or you've got your sticky mat here. So again, I've got my feet stepped wide, and I'm going to go to the opposite side now. So the chair now is on my right. I'm going to turn my left toes in, my right toes out. I'm going to turn my pelvis to look towards the chair as much as I can. Keeping that connection into the back leg. I'm going to bring my hand onto the seat of the chair, and again you might want to have a little explore with that, and then using my top arm underneath my lower ribs, brushing across the front of the chest, and then reaching out in line with the chest. And a few breaths here. And just watching, I just caught myself there in sort of the monitor on my computer, watching the head. Yeah, the head is involved with the spine, so it's really easy. I was kind of like this in my head, but really my head should be more around this position. in line with my spine. Releasing the top arm, a little bit of weight into the front foot to bring us back to parallel the feet, and let's step the feet back to hip distance and get a sense of how that feels. And already you might be noticing a difference in this area. I'm going to go back to my first side, so I'm going to pop my chair on the other end again, or you just want to spin around. And I'm going to step wide on my mat again. So my chair is now on my left hand side. I'm going to take this into side angle pose, Parsvakonasana. So I'm going to turn my right toes in, I'm going to turn my left toes out, keeping that connection into the back leg. I'm going to bend this front knee. So now normally here we bring the forearm onto the thigh, wouldn't we? And again, depending on our proportions as well, this can often cause us to kind of round and close off these areas. Yeah, you can even have a sort of a feel of that. So again, the chair is going to be really useful here. Simply placing a hand on the seat of the chair is going to help me to lengthen through this area. And then what happens over time is the body starts to remember that feeling, this feeling of length. So when we come to do the more traditional version of the pose, we've still got that length and we're not closing this area off. So again, you might want to experiment with where the hand's placed to give you that feeling of length. And then I'm going to reach the top arm, first of all, out in line with the chest, and then over in line with the back leg. And already my breathing feels different. I can feel my breath moving through the whole of sort of the abdominal area. Releasing the top arm, a little bit of weight into the front foot to bring us back to parallel the feet. And then I'm going to take it to the opposite side. So again, I've got my legs wide. I'm going to go the opposite side, so I'm turning my left toes in, my right toes out. I'm going to bend the right knee without disturbing that back leg. Knee tracking towards the second and third toes, as you're probably sick of hearing me say by now. And then I'm going to place my hand onto the seat of the chair. Again, I can really get that length, yeah. And then I'm going to bring that top arm out, first in line with the chest, and then over in line with the back leg. Being mindful that we're not letting the weight collapse into that hand, it's just there to help us lengthen, yeah, so really keeping our awareness into that back leg as well. We've got full support there, so I could just lift the hand if I wanted to. Releasing the top arm, a little bit of weight into the front foot to bring us back to parallel the feet. Let's step back to hip distance and get a sense of how that feels. And you might already notice a difference in the size of the body after that as well. I know I do. So placing our chair back to the first side, and we're going to come to Prasarita, which is a wide-legged forward bend. And again, we're going to use the chair to help us here. So I've got the chair in front of me, and I'm going to step wide with my feet. And to begin with, I'm going to use the highest part of my chair. So I'm going to bring my hands onto the highest part of my chair, just like I was when I was playing in my downward dog with the chair. I'm still lengthening out through the crown of the head, out through the tail, and I've got this length in the front of my body, but this little containment in the lower part so I'm not collapsing down. Watching that I'm not pushing and locking back into the knees, so the knees are soft. And pausing here for a few breaths. If that feels okay, what we can do is bring our hands a little lower down onto maybe the seat of the chair. And if that's the case, we might need to shuffle our feet back a bit more here so we've got the full length to work with. And then again, I'm finding that length in the spine. You can have a little feel of that area again, making sure that we're not round in the back. And if you do feel like the back is rounded and that part of the body is being closed off, come back to that version with the hands a little higher on the chair. And then to come out of this, let's shuffle the feet in towards each other and then stepping the feet forwards and coming up nice and slowly from there. Okay, so we're going to do a little twist with the chair now. So again, with the chair in front of me, I'm going to bring my left foot onto the seat of the chair, and I'm allowing the head of the femur to rest back into the hip socket, so I'm not sort of pushing the leg forwards. Head of the femur is resting back in the hip socket. Actually, I'm going to change this round so I'll be facing you when I do it. So actually, I'm going to bring my right foot on, but it doesn't matter which foot you've got on, it's just so I can face you when I do it. Okay. So my head of the femur is resting back into my hip socket. And then I'm going to lengthen into this standing leg. And already when I do that, I can feel this length coming into the front of my body. If I kind of let that collapse, and I feel that there's no kind of, not much tone there. If I lengthen into that standing leg, all of a sudden, things feel a little different. And then I'm going to bring my, so I've got my right foot on the chair, so I'm going to bring my left hand onto my right knee. You might be doing that the opposite way around. And then my right hand is going to come onto my lower back. And then, still lengthening into that standing leg. As I inhale, I lengthen. As I exhale, I might be able to come a little deeper now into the beginnings of a twist. Lengthening on the inhale, coming deeper into the twist on the exhale, and keeping the head as best we can, the nose in line with the sternum, so we don't want the head going off on its own here. Keep lengthening into that standing leg. And then release. So I'm going to flip my chair so I'm still facing you. So opposite side now, so you're now going to place your left foot up on the chair. No, but your right foot, your opposite foot up on the chair. So whatever foot's on the chair, the head of the femur is resting back into the hip. And then I'm going to lengthen into that standing leg. I'm feeling the difference already in that area. So feel the two extremes, yeah, come to collapse, feel that area, lengthen into the standing leg, feel the difference. And then I'm going to bring my right hand onto my left knee, and my left hand comes onto my lower back. It might be the opposite way around for you, whichever foot you've got on the chair. Inhale, we're going to lengthen through the spine. Exhale, we're going to begin to twist. Still lengthening into that standing leg as I do so. Keeping the nose in line with the sternum as best we can. And then when you've had enough of that, release. Ooh. And feeling the impact of that from standing. So I'm going to bring my chair back to the original end of my mat. And we're going to do a little standing sequence here using the chair to help us. So I've got my chair in front of me. I'm going to step my left foot back behind me. So I'm on my train tracks. And then from here, I'm going to draw the arms over my head and I'm going to come up onto the balls of my feet. So position that we're quite familiar with. And just this movement, again, you can feel that area brings such length into that portion of the abdomen. And then I'm going to lower the back heel, and as I do that, I'm going to bend the front knee. So I'm coming into a warrior one pose here. And then I'm going to bring my hands into this cactus position or right angle position. And as I inhale, come into a little mini back arch. And then as I exhale, I'm going to swoop my arms forwards. And that front knee is still bent. So I'm coming into my tabletop position here. I then bring my hands onto the seat of my chair and I'm going to begin to straighten this front knee. So we're coming into our Parsvottanasana. And then what we can do, we might be able to come down onto the forearms, keeping that length in the front of the body, but if that compromises that length, coming up higher onto the seat of the chair. And then we're going to bend that front knee again. We're going to swoosh the arms back up to our warrior one, straighten that front knee, and then step that back foot forwards as the arms come back down to the sides of the body. Opposite side, so let's step the right foot back. Raising the arms, coming onto the balls of the feet. As we lower the back heel, that front knee bends. So we're coming into our warrior one pose. Bringing the arms into our right angle cactus position. So we inhale, little extension into the back. And then we're going to swoop the arms forward, keeping that front knee bent. So swooping the arms forwards. And then again, we're going to bring the hands onto the seat of the chair as we begin to straighten this front knee. Come into our Parsvottanasana again. Checking with the position of the pelvis, that we're not letting it sway one side or the other, so the pelvis is neutral. If all is well, we might want to come down onto the forearms, so if that begins to round the back, come higher up. And we're going to repeat this a couple more times, so it could be that we're higher up now and we come down onto the forearms a bit later. And then let's bend that front knee, swooshing the arms back up to our warrior one, straightening the front knee as we step the back foot forwards and releasing the arms. Let's come back to the first side, so stepping the left foot back, now that we're a bit more familiar. So stepping the left foot back, raising the arms, coming onto the balls of the feet. As we lower the heels, particularly the back heel, that front knee begins to bend. So we're in our warrior one pose. Bringing the arms into our cactus, coming into a little extension as we inhale, swooping the arms forwards, coming over this front leg, keeping that front knee bent. Bringing the hands onto the seat of the chair, we're going to begin to straighten this front leg. Keep lengthening out through the crown of the head, out through the tail, and then you might want to come a little lower down onto the seat of the chair. but making sure we're maintaining that length in the front of the body. We're not rounding the upper back. Bend in the front knee. Let's swoosh the arms back up to our warrior one. And then stepping the back foot forwards as we release the arms. Opposite side, stepping the right foot back. Coming up onto the balls of the feet. And then as we lower the heels, particularly the back one, the front knee bends. Bringing the arms into cactus position. Coming into a little mini back bend as we inhale. Swooshing the arms forward, and that might feel good on an exhalation. Keeping that front knee bent. Bringing the hands onto the seat as we straighten that front knee without locking the knee. And if it feels appropriate, you might want to come lower down onto the seat with the forearms, or you might want to stay a little higher. You might even want to bring your hands onto the top edge of the seat. I was going to keep that length in the front of the body. Let's bend that front knee, swooping the arms up over the head. And then stepping the back foot forward as we release the arms. Go one more time each side. So stepping the left foot back. Come onto the balls of the feet, raise the arms. And as we lower the heels, bend in the front knee. Bringing the hands into, or the arms into cactus. Bring the spine into extension as we inhale. Swooping the arms forwards as we come over this front leg. Maybe on an exhalation if that feels good. Bringing the hands onto the seat of the chair as we begin to straighten this front leg. Keeping that length all the time. Lengthening out through the crown of the head, tail. You can even feel those areas, yeah. Become acquainted with them. Maybe coming down onto the forearms. Ooh. And then bending that front knee as we swoop the arms up over the head back to our warrior one. Stepping the back foot forward. Ooh. As we release the arms. Last side, so stepping the right foot back. Coming onto the balls of the feet, raising the arms. Bending the front knee as we lower the heels. Coming into our warrior one. And then coming into our cactus position. Bring the spine into extension. And then bringing the arms forward as we keep that front knee bent. Into our tabletop position. Bringing the hands onto the seat of the chair. We're going to lengthen into that front leg. Straightening the knee. Keeping that length. If you wish, coming onto the forearms. Bend in the front knee, sweeping the arms over the head back to warrior one, and then stepping the back foot forwards, releasing the arms. And spending a few moments there. So let's pop our chair off to one side now. We're not going to be using that again. And let's come into a nice passive forward bend after that. So bringing the feet hip distance or slightly wider. Let's bend the knees generously and let's drape over the tops of the thighs. Whew. And then coming back up, nice and gently from there. So let's come back to downward dog. It'll be interesting to see how that is, what we've done. So we're going to do our downward dog from the ground now without the chair. But if you think the chair is going to be more beneficial, go ahead and use the chair for you. But it's quite interesting to see the difference now after the work we've just done. So let's tuck the toes under. Let's bring the hands slightly forward to the shoulders. Reaching the tail back towards the heels. And then let's bring this little rocking movement back and forth. And then next time we rock back, coming up from the knees, reaching up and back with the tail into our downward dog. Let's get a sense of how the front of the body feels after the work that we've done there. You might want to take your dog for a walk. You might want to let your dog wag his tail. Or you might want to let your dog be a bit more still. Let's come down gently on the knees. We're going to come up one more time, so have a little mini pause there. And then when you're ready, rocking back and forth. Next time we rock back, lift it up off the heels, back to our downward dog. And then gently coming down on the knees, tucking the toes and sitting back on the heels. So even, we're going to come to child pose now, and even in our child pose, sometimes we can have a tendency to cut off the front of the body, particularly with these kind of sort of forward bending movements. So there is a bit of rounding when we do come to child pose, and there is a bit of rounding in the back, but it should be one of the last things to happen. If it's one of the first things to happen, we can find it very difficult to kind of even think about finding the floor with our forehead, and this area is all closed off. So a way to help us with that is if we take our thumbs and we feel right into our hip sockets, or the crease of the hips, and bringing the thumbs right in there. And I'm going to keep that kind of it's like a little pulling back movement that I'm doing with my thumbs. Yeah, I hope you can see that what I'm doing there, but yeah, it's kind of making space around the hips. And I'm going to keep doing that as I begin to come forwards over the thighs. And you can see that I'm still long in the front of my body as I do that. And I stay long, and I stay long, and I stay long. And my bottom wants to lift away from my heels. That's okay, I'm going to let that happen. It'll go back down in a sec. But I'm going to stay long, I'm going to stay long, I'm going to stay on for as long as I can. And then the back rounds. It's one of the last things to round. And I've got my arms now resting at the sides with the backs of my hands down. And if I keep that length in the front of my body with my child pose, the breath is so much easier to access there as well. And then coming up from there. So I'm going to come onto our back. So I think we did this, I think it was in the last video we did actually, but we did it with a bolster, but we're going to do it without tonight. But if you want to work with a bolster, that's absolutely fine. If you've got one of your homemade ones to hand, or if you've got an actual yoga bolster, feel free. So if you have got the bolster, you're going to bring it underneath your pelvis. If not, You're going to come to lay on your back with your feet on the floor, your knees up towards the ceiling like me. I'm going to draw my right knee in towards me. I'm going to extend my left leg away from me. So just as I was when I was doing that stand and twist with the chair, I'm almost imagining that my left foot is on the floor and I'm lengthening into that left hand side, and I can feel the difference in this area that if I kind of just collapse there. But I'm still soft in the knee, not locking back in the knee. A few breaths here. And then we're going to stay on this side and we're going to draw this left knee in towards us. We're going to reach it up towards the ceiling, and then we're going to begin to lengthen that leg away from us nice and slowly. Keep lengthening, lengthening, lengthening out through the heel. And eventually my heel is going to touch down on the floor. And then we're going to go about 4 more times. 4 more times. And noticing if you're getting any clunks and clicks when you do this as well. So when I used to work on my left side, you might even hear it, now and again it still happens. I do get a bit of a clunk on that side, and it's normally to do with the tracking of my leg. So sometimes my leg kind of strays out towards the outer edge of my mat a little, or in towards the midline. So ideally we want this sort of the ankle, the knee and the hip all tracking in line with each other. So if you are noticing that, just check your tracking. See, mine's just gone there, I don't know if you heard that. So I've not been keeping count, but I'm going to assume we've done about 5. So we're going to bring both feet back down onto the mat, and then let's lengthen both legs out and feel into that left hand side. It'll probably feel very different. And then when you're ready, let's come to the opposite side. So I'm going to draw my left knee in now. I'm going to draw my right leg away from me along the floor, really reaching out into the heel, spreading out through the ball of the foot, sole of the foot. And like we were when we did our stand and twist with the chair, really lengthening into that whole right hand side. And again, we can try, go to the 2 extremes, just collapse, feel the difference, lengthen into that leg. Feel how that has an impact. And then when you're ready, we're going to stay on this side. We're going to draw the knee in towards us on this right leg. We're going to reach the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling, and again we're going to begin to lengthen it away from us, reaching into the heel. Checking the tracking of that leg as we do so. And again about 5 times. So again, I've not kept count, but I think I'm at around 5, 4 or 5. So when you've completed, bringing first of all both your feet onto the floor and then extending both legs out, feeling the impact of that. And then let's take both knees in towards the chest and have a little rock from side to side there. And then if you would like to, giving the legs a bit of a shake and a jiggle from there. So we're going to come to rest down now. So again, I'm going to throw another suggestion out for you here. And again, this might not resonate for everyone. It's just some of you have emailed me with certain things that I think these things might help. So you can try them. If not, just do what feels comfortable. But we're going to set ourselves up for Shavasana now. Again, if you know for any reason that you've got a tightness in one side of the pelvis or the lower back, or maybe one hip, yeah. So I know for me, I do have a tightness in the right side of my lower back. What can be useful is to work kind of asymmetrically for a short period in our Shavasana. So I'll show you. I'll show you on my tighter side. So this can be done with either the feet on the floor and the knees up, or with the legs lengthened out. So I'll show you with both. So my tightness in my lower back is on my right hand side, and when I kind of feel it beginning to irritate me for any reason, or if I've been doing something that's kind of aggravated that, what I tend to do in my practice is I will take my feet off towards the left, so that the right hand side of my body is now longer than my left. Yeah, like I said, it can be done with either the feet on the floor, or you can work with the legs lengthened out. It's a bit stronger with the legs lengthened out, so being mindful of that as well. And I will spend, say if I do a 10-minute Shavasana, I might spend 2 or 3 minutes in this more asymmetric position, and then eventually I'll come back to more of a symmetrical position. You can try it. It can be, I find it quite useful if I am experiencing any tightness on that side. So getting yourself set up there in whatever position that is. So it might be an asymmetric Shavasana, it might be lying on your front, you might want to lie on the front over a bolster. Yeah, we've had quite a few options, haven't we, over the last few videos, so picking something that's going to work well for you, and make sure you're going to be warm enough here as well. So we're going to continue our reading of the sutras, and we are up to verse 10 of book 2. Verse 10 of book 2. So I'm going to assume that you are set up here now in your Shavasana, in whatever form that's taken. And maybe letting our eyes soften and close here if we haven't done so already. And getting a sense of how our body is feeling after the practice that we've completed. And it could be that the front of the body kind of is happier to expand towards the heavens, yeah, especially if we're lying on our back. And we might get a sense of the breath articulating itself a bit differently to when we first arrived at the practice. So verse 10 of book 2 of the sutras. The subtle causes of suffering are destroyed when the mind merges back into the unmanifest. The gross effects of suffering are discarded through meditation. The impressions of past action stored deep in the mind are the seeds of desire. They ripen into action in seen and unseen ways, if not in this life, then in future one. As long as action leaves its seed in the mind, this seed will grow, generating more births, more lives, more actions. In these two, the fruit of wrong action is sorrow. The fruit of right action is joy. I'll read those again. The subtle causes of suffering are destroyed when the mind merges back into the unmanifest. The gross effects of suffering are discarded through meditation. The impressions of past action stored deep in the mind are the seeds of desire. They ripen into action in seen and unseen ways, if not in this life, then in a future one. As long as action leaves its seed in the mind, this seed will grow, generating more births, more lives, more actions. In these two, the fruit of wrong action is sorrow. The fruit of right action is joy. So giving ourselves some time here to rest down, letting ourselves absorb the benefits of our practice. And bringing our awareness to the fronts of our bodies. Can we allow the fronts of our bodies to expand towards the heavens? As the back of our body is supported by the earth beneath us. So we're going to begin to draw the practice to a close. If you want to stay here for a while longer, allowing yourself to rest here. You don't need to follow my words. If you're ready to come out, beginning to let the fingers and toes gently move. And maybe letting the head very gently turn from one side to the other. And then if you wish, let's generate some heat between the palms of the hands. Placing the hands either over the eyes or wherever's going to be of benefit for you today. And then eventually allowing the eyes to begin to open and adjusting to the light in the room, becoming aware of sounds, any sensations. And eventually, as the eyes fully open, we can gather the knees in towards the chest and have a little rock from side to side. And let's allow that momentum to take us all the way over to rest on one side of the body, giving ourselves a few moments there. And then eventually from our side we're going to come up to a comfortable seated position from there. And if you would like to, you can bring the hands into prayer position in the front of the chest, drawing the practice to a close today. So we will leave that there for today's practice. I hope that was of use for you. As always, I'm always here. Any questions, requests, if you want me to do some extra little mini videos, if you need something quite specific, I'm more than happy to do that for you. I hope you're all well. Looking forward to the day that maybe we can practice together in the same space again. But if anyone's got any ideas around that as well, I've been kind of having a think if, we might be able to do some outdoor sessions, but, I'll be really interested to hear your input on any of that. So we'll leave that there for this week and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.